year, Your Honor. So, ganun po siya, recognizing the revenue and then of course the estimated expenditures po.
And then the balance will go to the reserve funds.
We'll go to the accumulated revenue, Your Honor, or the surplus that we have.
All right.
Yes po.
Okay. May I proceed to the next question?
Yes po, Your Honor.
So, did the transfer of 69.9 billion to the National Treasury make Philhealth an economically viable guarantor of the people's access to quality and affordable health care and protection against financial risk?
Your Honor, the amount transferred to...
Can you just please go direct to the point? Yes or no?
Sorry, Your Honor. Again, Your Honor, 60 billion pa lang po na transfer po natin.
Pa lang?
Opo.
Konti lang, no?
60 billion po.
All right, 60 billion,
Opo.
not 69?
Yes po.
Ilan ba gusto nating i-transfer?
It is estimated, Your Honor.
All right, so
89.
what is your short answer to my short question?
Your Honor, sorry, Your Honor. PhilHealth's nag-operate si PhilHealth po, Your Honor, in the year 2024.
Did it help PhilHealth's financial condition? Did it upgrade your financial level when you transferred 60 billion to the National Treasury?
Your Honor, despite the transfer, Your Honor, PhilHealth's investable fund from 498 in December 2023 and versus December 2024, Your Honor, of 492 billion.
So what is your answer, no? Or
Your
yes?
Honor,
Yes or no?
Your Honor, very sorry, Your Honor. Your Honor, PhilHealth operates the program, Your Honor, expanding the benefit payment.
All right.
Tumaas pa
So
siya.
I will go to my next question.
Yes po.
Did the transfer of this amount to the National Treasury reduce the deficit of PhilHealth in the amount of 663 billion plus in 2023?
Your Honor, if you are talking...
Just a straight answer, Mr. Senior Vice President.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Yes.
Apology po. Of course, Your Honor, the 60 billion that we transferred reduces...
Yes or no? Yes or no? My question is so simple and it is answerable only by yes or no.
Your Honor, it reduces, Your Honor.
It reduces the deficit, even though, yes, did I hear it right? Your transfer of 60 billion to the National Treasury reduce your deficit.
Your Honor, I think baliktad sa Your Honor. Because it reduces our accumulated revenue. And of course, kung sa total members' equity, Your Honor, tumaas pa siya, Your Honor.
You know, Mr. Senior Vice President, I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Your excuse.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Chief Justice, thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice Xavier. May we call on Justice Antonio Po for his interpretation.
Thank you, Chief. Can anybody answer questions on PhilHealth, please? Government Corporate Counsel, Hermosura, please.
Happy to answer your questions, Your Honor.
Okay, let us go to Section 11 again, the most popular provision in these discussions. Okay, Section 11 provides for what is known as a Program Reserve Fund. before going to the details, can you give me the significance of providing a reserve fund for PhilHealth? What is the importance of having a reserve fund for PhilHealth?
As I understand, Your Honor, it's like a contingent fund.
A contingent fund
Yeah,
for what purpose?
To address the possible lack of funding in the future.
So would you agree with me that the higher reserve fund you have, the more secure PhilHealth will be?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. But at the same time, the law provides a mechanism so that
Within the mechanism provided for the actuarial.
yes, there's also a mechanism so that the managers of PhilHealth do not become so conservative. So they cannot fix a reserve fund beyond the ceiling. There's a ceiling imposed by Section 11, Your Honor.
Okay, now let's go to Section 11. Section 11 speaks of accumulated revenues. It also speaks of reserve fund. It also speaks of current year expenditures. Can you define to me these terms?
Right now, Your Honor, there is an office order issued by the PhilHealth President in 2012 where accumulated revenues is defined to mean the accumulated income of PhilHealth. So it refers to the results of the operation of PhilHealth in past years.
When you speak of accumulated income, that is net of expenditures for that particular year?
Yes, Your Honor. So it's
Okay.
net.
So if it is net, this Section 11 speaks of reserve fund to be taken from the accumulated revenues. And there's a formula under Section 11 wherein you determine the reserve fund.
It says, Section 11 says, the reserve fund, a portion of the accumulated revenues can be set aside as reserve fund, but which shall not exceed the ceiling, which is the actuarially estimated expenditures for the next 2 years.
Okay. Is it possible that the reserve fund will exceed as computed by the actuarial formula more than the accumulated revenues?
It is possible, Your Honor, but under that office order that I mentioned earlier, the reserve fund is always set as equal to the ceiling or lower than the ceiling.
Okay. The reserve fund under Section 11 is by virtue of the Universal Health Care Act, which was passed in 2019. Are you saying that prior to 2019, there is no concept of reserve fund by PhilHealth?
No, there is already a concept, Your Honor. The concept of reserve fund was actually taken from the Universal Health Insurance Act, which was passed earlier. I think that was in 1995.
Okay. Now,
Yes, 1995.
the prior to Universal Health Care Act of 2019, you said that there's already a concept of reserve fund.
Yes, that's in Section 27 of the National Health
Yes.
Insurance Act.
Is there a
of 19
formula on how you determine the reserve fund prior to 2019?
No, the Section 27 of the National Health Insurance Act also says that from the accumulated revenues, a portion can be set aside as reserve fund, Your Honor.
What I mean is the a 2-year actuarial computation.
That
The ceiling.
That is the ceiling, yes.
Is that also present prior to 2019?
That is also in the law prior to 2019, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, for 2024, how much was the reserve fund?
2024. I think the board approved a reserve fund of 280 billion, Your Honor.
200,
80 billion, more or less.
280 billion.
Yes. And
At the time, how much was the accumulated revenues?
I know it's more than like almost 500 billion.
The accumulated revenues.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this 500 billion net of the reserve fund already? Is this net of the reserve fund?
The 500 billion revenue? No,
Yes.
no, Your Honor. So,
so-
the total accumulated revenue was around 500 billion, and then out of that 500 billion, 280.60 billion was set aside as reserve fund.
Okay.
So that left the 500 billion minus the 280 billion. That difference is the fund balance.
The fund balance.
But
Okay.
of that fund balance, which is like more than 200 billion, only 89.88 billion was required by the Department of Finance to be remitted by.
Okay, let's go to that later. Now, the 280 billion that you mentioned as the reserve fund of Philhealth, who determines that?
It's determined by the Philhealth Board, of course, but there is a recommendation from management, Your Honors.
Meaning, management probably computed by your Office of Actuary that could compute for the 2 years?
Yeah,
What is the basis of the
management makes a recommendation and the Philhealth Board approves, Your Honor.
Okay, how much was the recommendation made by the management of the Philhealth for purposes of reserve fund for 2024?
Oh, no. I have no info on that, Your Honor.
Can anybody from Philhealth office or department answer this? Actuary, please.
Oh. I have numbers here. I was provided numbers, Your Honors, but I think it doesn't respond to your question as to the number proposed by management. I think
Proposed
that's what-
by the actuary and if adopted by management and submitted to the board.
Well, the actuary only recommends, Your Honor.
Yes, but I want to know how much the actuary computed the ceiling corresponding the 2 years projected program expenditures.
Good afternoon, Your Honors.
Can I get your name, please?
Nerissa Santiago, the Acting Senior Vice President for the Actuarial Services and Risk Management Sector, Your Honor.
Okay. I'll repeat the question. For 2024, did you make any computation on the reserve fund, the ceiling corresponding to 2 years projected program expenditure for purposes of determination of the reserve fund?
Yes, Your Honor. During the December 31, 2023, we had a 2-year projected program expenditure set at 560 billion. That was the projected program expenditures for 2024 and 2025.
That was determined end of 2023.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
So this 560
Billion,
is the ceiling corresponding to 2 years projected program expenditures.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
After determining the 560 billion, what happened for purposes of looking at adoption by the board of the reserve fund?
That 560 billion is part of the footnotes in the financial statement and is, I'm not sure if it was included in the presentation, but it is part of the financial statement, Your Honor.
Okay. Apparently, as explained by earlier, this 560 billion that you recommended was reduced to 280 billion.
Yes, that's
Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So, why only, Mr. Counsel, why only 50%? 280 is 50% of 560. Why only 50% of the recommended amount did the board adopted as the reserve fund?
Actually, Your Honors, as you can see from Section 11, the requirement of actuarial estimate is only required for the ceiling,
Yes.
not the reserve fund. So, where the actuary participated here was in setting the ceiling.
Yes, but you said earlier you have 220 billion excess. Your expenditures is accumulated revenues is 500 billion. The reserve fund is 280, and you still have 220 billion free funds. Why did the board merely agreed or set the reserve fund 50% of the recommended amount?
The board has that discretion, Your Honor, to review the data and set the reserve fund to, or even the ceiling to reasonable levels.
Okay, now, earlier it was mentioned that the reserve fund for 2024 was, as recommended, was determined on the last day of 2023. When, am I correct? Yes. Now, when did the board adopted the reserve fund for 2024 in the amount of 280 billion? Was it supposed to be the beginning of the year of 2024 or any time as long as it is within the year 2024? Is there a board?
Your Honors, may I surmise an opinion, or I don't know how they call it. I think this is in response to the GAA provision and the DOF circular when the discussion on the 280 was discussed in the board, Your Honor.
No, you mentioned that you made a recommendation in the end of 2023 that the reserve fund for 2024 should be 560B, right? And I presume the board were sufficiently informed of this amount. When did the board of Philhealth acted upon this amount to determine that the reserve fund should only be 280 billion? There should be at least a board resolution that would say that the reserve fund of Philhealth is 280 billion.
I think the board opted around middle of last year, Your Honor. But yeah, by the way, previous to that, Your Honor, the board did not really, as I understand, I'm not really part of the management of Philhealth, but the board never really formalized any level of reserve fund. So they simply followed an office order that was issued in 2012, where they set the reserve fund equal to or lower than the ceiling.
Did I hear it right that the board did not actually made a reservation for purposes of this reserve fund?
No, in the past, Your Honor. But this is an info I'm getting from the board staff of Philhealth, Your Honor. But the board meeting for this new reserve fund that was approved was held May 8, 2024.
Can you provide us with the necessary documents to show, probably board resolution, that on May 8, 2024, the Philhealth board adopted a reserve fund in the amount of 280 billion?
We'll do that, Your Honor.
Can I get that commitment?
Yes, certainly, Your Honor.
Okay.
Will po.
Now, when the 560 billion, you computed it,